I grew up in a quiet little town, the kind where neighbors know each other's names and nobody locks their doors at night. But when I was 12, my parents bought a new house on the far edge of town, cheaper than the rest and oddly pristine for its age. I didn't think much of it until I saw what stood directly behind it. A graveyard. Not just any graveyard, an old one. Iron-wrought gates, crooked headstones, and moss-covered angels staring blankly into the void. The kind of place you avoid after dark. My mom laughed it off. "Dead people don't bite," she said. And for the first few nights, it was fine. Peaceful, even. The cemetery sat still behind our fence, like a quiet neighbor minding its business. But then came the knocks. Always between 2 and 3 in the morning. Just one knock. On my bedroom window. Then silence. I'd lie frozen in bed, staring at the glass. Curtains closed, lights off, no sound but the buzz of my fan. The first time, I convinced myself it was the wind. The second time, I tried blaming the tree branches. Except, there were no trees near that window. Then, the toys started moving. I had this old clown doll my grandmother gave me. I kept it on a shelf. One morning I found it in the hallway, face down, arms spread, like it had crawled there during the night. My mom said I probably left it out. I knew I didn't. And it wasn't just the clown, other toys too. Trucks that rolled without batteries, a musical box that played a single distorted note in the dead of night. One night I heard it start playing from inside my closet. Just one chime, then silence. My dad was the first to get angry about it. He thought I was sneaking around, trying to scare them. But that changed one Saturday afternoon. He was gardening near the back fence, the part closest to the graves, when I heard him shout. I ran outside and saw him sitting in the dirt, pale, gripping his wrist. He said something shoved him, hard. No one was around, no animal prints, just a shallow dent in the soil behind him, like a knee had hit the earth. Weeks passed, the atmosphere in the house changed. Cold drafts came from nowhere, lights flickered, shadows didn't quite line up with the objects that cast them. Then came the bone. It was a Sunday. My mom was planting tulips by the side of the house when she hit something with her trowel, something pale and curved. She dug gently, brushing away dirt, revealing more. At first, we thought it was part of a tree root, but it wasn't. It was a femur. The police took it seriously. Forensics came in. The bone, they said, was over 100 years old, too old to investigate, too weathered to trace. Just there, beneath our house, like it had always been waiting. That night I woke up to find my bedroom window open. Not cracked, not unlocked, open, wide. I hadn't touched it, the curtains were fluttering, and the moon cast just enough light for me to see someone standing at the edge of the graveyard. Not moving, just watching. We moved out 3 weeks later. My parents never gave a real reason. But sometimes, when we drive past the old road, I catch them both looking away from the cemetery, as if remembering something they've tried to forget. I don't know if the house was cursed, or if the cemetery was reaching out to us. All I know is, we were never alone there. Something else lived behind that fence. And some nights when I wake up at 3 a.m. and hear a soft knock at the window, I wonder if it ever let us go. I've always liked photography. Not the posed kind, not weddings or portraits. I'm drawn to the in-between moments, the raw ones, the ones no one sees. Sometimes when life feels too loud, I grab my camera and disappear for a few hours. Just wander. That day I needed silence. I drove about an hour out of the city. No real destination, just a pin on a map. A small, overgrown cemetery tucked behind a grove of pine trees. I had never been there before. When I arrived, the place felt untouched, wild but peaceful. A low fog clung to the grass like smoke, curling between crooked gravestones. The sun was dipping low, not quite golden hour yet, but close. That soft, haunting light photographers live for. No cars in the gravel lot, just mine. Perfect. I wandered in with my camera slung over my shoulder, boots crunching softly along a narrow path that wound through the graves. Most of the markers were old, 1800s, maybe early 1900s. The names were worn, letters half-eaten by time. I found beauty in that, in the forgotten. I spent the next 20 minutes just exploring, snapping photos of weathered statues, cracked marble, patches of ivy creeping up sunken tombs. Eventually, I knelt beside one particular grave. It was barely noticeable, no stone, just a rectangle of earth that looked off, slightly raised in the center, like the soil had been disturbed. There was no name, no markings, just dirt. I don't know what pulled me toward it. It wasn't photogenic, it wasn't even interesting at first glance, but it felt different, heavy. Like something about it mattered. I adjusted my lens, trying to frame the shot just right. That's when I heard it. A voice, right in my ear. "Move, it's unsafe." I froze. It wasn't a whisper, it wasn't a hallucination. It was clear, urgent, a woman's voice, panicked, close. I spun around so fast I nearly dropped my camera, but there was no one, just the sound of wind rustling the dry grass, just fog. I stood there, scanning the path, the trees beyond the fence line. The last person I'd seen was an old man with a cane, far off at the edge of the cemetery, maybe 15 minutes earlier. But this voice, it had been right next to me. I could still feel the breath of it in my ear. I took one step back, and that's when the ground gave way beneath me. It wasn't much, just enough for my right foot to sink down a few inches, but it was enough. The earth beneath the grave was soft, hollow, like something had caved in. I fell to one knee, my hands sank into loose soil. That grave wasn't settled. That's when it hit me. There was no headstone, no name, just dirt, freshly raised, almost like someone had recently disturbed it from below. I scrambled back, heart pounding so hard it blurred my vision, and the voice echoed again in my head. "Move, it's unsafe." Not imagined, not a dream. It was a warning, and I'd almost ignored it. I didn't wait, I didn't try to take another photo, I didn't even check to see if someone was playing a trick on me. I just left. Back to my car, back down that narrow gravel road. Didn't breathe easy until I was 10 miles away. But that wasn't the end. When I got home, I did what I always do. Backed up my photos. Most of them were fine, ordinary. But the last photo, the one I took just before I heard the voice, it wasn't right. The grave was there, sure, the same uneven patch of dirt. But standing behind me, faint, blurry, but unmistakable, was a figure. A woman. Not just a shadow, not a tree. Her outline was clear. She was standing still, facing me. Her arm was reaching forward, toward me. I stared at that image for a long time. Checked the metadata. It had been taken seconds before I turned around, but I swear she hadn't been there when I looked. She never showed up in any other frame, just that one. I deleted the photo, emphatic, immediately. I couldn't look at it any longer. Even now, I'm not sure if that was a mistake, because the memory hasn't left me. Her voice, urgent, protective, still echoes sometimes. Late at night when I'm alone in my apartment, when I pick up my camera and feel the weight of silence behind me. And now, every time I kneel down to take a photo, I hesitate, because I never know what might be beneath me. It happened during a quiet fall afternoon. In a small town my cousin and I were visiting for the weekend. We were both 13, bored, and looking for something mildly creepy to kill time. That's when he suggested we check out the old cemetery near his grandfather's property. The place was ancient, rows of crooked tombstones, most of them unreadable. Tall trees surrounded it like a wall, and a low iron fence barely kept anything out. Fog clung to the ground even though it wasn't that cold. We stepped through the squeaky gate, our shoes crunching the leaves as we wandered deeper. My cousin kept saying, "Some of these graves are from the 1800s. I wasn't sure if that made it cooler or creepier. About 10 minutes in, we both noticed something strange. There was a thick patch of fog, denser than the rest, settling around a particular headstone. I stopped walking. My cousin did too. That's when we saw her. Hovering about a foot above the grave was the faint outline of a woman. She wasn't moving. She wasn't floating around. She was just there. Her dress looked like it belonged to another century, long, white, almost bridal, but worn and darkened with time. Her hair hung down in front of her face, unmoving, untouched by the wind. Neither of us said a word. We just stared, hearts pounding. I remember thinking, maybe it's just a trick of the fog. Maybe our eyes were playing games. Then she turned. Slowly, without sound, her head shifted toward us. But instead of a face, there was just blankness. No features, no eyes, just pale, empty skin where a face should be. My cousin gasped. That sound must have broken the moment because the fog suddenly thinned and she vanished. Gone, just like that. We ran, didn't look back. We didn't even speak again until we were back at the house, panting and pale. The weirdest part? My cousin went back the next day with his older brother. The grave she hovered over? No name, no date, just a weathered stone, cracked in half. We've never talked about it since. But sometimes, when I see fog settling in the trees, I swear I can feel her watching again.